Hello, and thank you for calling.
The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv. And we have a lot to talk about today, I can tell you that much. And I'm going to process, I'm sorry, I'm going to process, I got to get this.
Well, while you're doing whatever you're doing. Oh, okay.
I'm done.
First off, as everyone knows by now, yes. Her Majesty the Queen has passed. My sincere condolences to the royal family. I know this is going to be a tough 10 days for Great Britain and the Commonwealth, so it should be interesting to see who actually shows up for the funeral.
Yeah, and who's allowed to be participate.
And who's allowed to participate, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, the rumor mill is going strong. It appears that a certain attorney in Fall River, in coordination with two city councilors, plan on Tuesday on overthrowing the city council chamber.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, a coup.
We're
gonna have a hostile takeover.
Yes.
Of the city council. But you know, this is the problem. This is the problem with our federal government too. They think they can just ignore laws when it's their political agenda. They don't have to abide by it.
Well, according to them, they found a loophole in the Cushing's Rules of Order. And I can't find it, so I'm going to keep looking for it. But because of that loophole, they can remove her from the city council.
Well, look.
And I don't believe that's possible because the charter doesn't say that. And Rumsey was an absolute idiot.
Rubber stamp Rumsey.
Whatever
Rumsey.
Paul wants, Rumsey rubber stamps. Yeah. Because I'll tell you now, when he turned around and says, oh, the city council's on its own. How come the city council's on its own when it's the city council, but when it's for the mayor, it's what he says?
Well, wait a minute. Didn't Rumsey say that the city council had no say in the opera money now because they forfeited another blah, blah, blah? Yeah. The city council, and we contend that it's a separate it's a separate body, it's a legislative branch. But look these are politicians. These are politicians. This is unacceptable. Whether you know, and I have gone on record and said I didn't think she was a great president. She didn't run the meeting that well. But she's still entitled to due process. And the attorney who's doing this should be ashamed of herself because as an attorney, I'm sure that she argued many times about due process for her clients.
Right.
And everybody is entitled to due process. As I said, there's been a lot of leaks, just like there are with Mar-a-Lago, but now we'll find, you never get to the truth when it comes to politics. And,
especially this
this particular incident, there's a lot of rumors that are flying around. Some of them, and these are allegations, and that's the whole key. They're not fact. When they go to court, all the facts will be revealed.
That's right.
There is an allegation that she secured a lawyer, and she is going to fight this, and that this lawyer basically said that that he can win this case. So until it's adjudicated, as far as I'm concerned, you are innocent until proven guilty. And they're going to say, well, she already said she was guilty. No, she said she made the calls.
That's right.
That is an admission that she made those calls, which was being forthcoming. Now, all the issues surrounding that, the context, will not be clear until all the facts are presented. And that has to be presented in a court of law. And after it's over, if she is found guilty, of a felony or a misdemeanor, then they can do, and I still don't believe it. You know, the fact is she was elected by the people, and she was elected by the council, and let the people decide in the next election if they want to continue with her.
Right.
This is just, look, the political knives are out. It's pretty obvious we're in a political season. I mean, if you watch the ads, the political ads now in Rhode Island, they're getting really bad.
Yes.
They're getting really vicious. They're attacking, a lot of personal attacks now the last week before their primary. They're talking about, you know, indictments and this and that. And, you know, they're all allegations. And that's the problem, you know.
But the thing is,
if they were in that position, they would be screaming about due process.
Right, and you know, this is the thing that gets me. This attorney has had legal issues in the past, okay? And her past isn't exactly glowing, for the lack of a better expression. One of the city councilors involved in this also doesn't have a glowing past, okay? Because I remember some certain racial comments made way back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, and was that city councilor thrown off the city? Was that city councilor thrown off the city council? Was she denied her rights to whatever she wanted to do? No.
Yeah.
Okay, and my thing is this: it's deplorable that they would take any action against this city council president without due process. Because remember, attorney, that's backing this whole process for this coup. You were entitled to your due process. If they denied you your due process, you'd have an appeal.
And if I remember correctly, the other not elected councilor, but fundamentally appointed councilor who was basically leading this charge, she was on her former network, using that as a vehicle to push this agenda. She had an issue with documents from the police department.
Right.
In her home.
Right.
So, you know, that always begs the question to me, and when I look at what's happening every day on the federal stage, Navarro gets marched across an airport in leg shackles and chains like a terrorist for a misdemeanor, and Hunter Biden smokes crack, commits felonies on videos, and nothing happens to him. You know, nothing happens to Hillary for destroying 33,000 emails and bleaching them. But if you're, you know, so this smacks. Now, what would have happened if she wasn't friendly or in good graces with the police department when she had those things? Could they have tried to drag her into that issue? And I'm not saying there was anything wrong.
Right.
All right. But the fact is, to use any kind of thing like this for political gain. What would have happened if somebody didn't like her politically and said, let's drag her into this and say she might have been colluding, or she intentionally hid these, or she didn't know and now she's turning them. You know, this is BS. It's totally separated from the job of the city council. Let the person have due process, and let the people who you forget sometime you work for, the people you were supposed to be answerable to, decide her fate in 2 years. And who knows? If she gets found guilty, she might resign.
Right.
You don't know. But let's let all the facts come out. And this is, like you said, this is reprehensible by a bunch of political hacks who want to take over the city.
Right.
They want to take over the city like the Democrats have taken over the federal government, where they can run amok. And that's wrong.
And these are Democrats.
And now they have, see, you notice they didn't bring anything up like this before these people who weren't on a council before have gotten on.
Right.
Now all of a sudden everything it's wrong. But let's switch to something really important about politicians and being disingenuous. I got a report today. That our illustrious Representative Carol Fiola was on WSAR
We suck at radio.
saying that we're not paying a penny, and she read a part of a law. And she said, all the money we owe, we've paid, and we got $600,000 left over. Well, Representative Fiola, either you're totally clueless, or you are telling a half-truth in order to convince the public that this is a good thing, and that's even worse, because you were elected to represent the public. The people of Fall River are entitled. They're required to have full disclosure. You are answerable to us at all times. And for the record, just in case you don't know, your husband's an attorney. You can't take a line out of a law and quote it out of context. Do we get a credit? Yeah, we read it. We read it.
We did.
You get 100% credit. But is that all it says in that law? No, it's not. It also says, if you read at the top of that law, that they can increase their budget up to 103% of the budget just for inflation.
Right.
There's also another section in 161, and I'm not going to go in there, in 161A. That's in chapter 10, in case you want to read it. But then again, you only want to read the lines you like. Let's read it all. Let's read it all. That one's in chapter 10, section 35T, about the 103% increase
Right.
for inflation. The other section 20, 161A, and there's also a whole bunch of other stuff. Listen, WSAR, the Fall River Herald News, in my opinion, are colluding to suppress information about the MBTA. Why? Because they're going to make money. We know that Representative Fiola's husband is up to his ears in development. Mm-hmm. We also know that the owner of WSAR is a developer. Why aren't we getting all the facts? And I'm not saying yes or no. Let the public decide. If they want to pay through the nose and they want to attach their body to a sinking ship, that's their prerogative. But give everybody the information so they can make a logical decision. The reality is, this is like you being put in a time machine and sent back to when the Titanic was sailing, and you already know it's sunk, and you're going to go buy tickets for the ride. I don't know what the hell you people, why isn't this newsworthy? Okay? All right, these are headlines. Look, we've got the director of the MBTA saying that they're falling off a cliff next year, that they're going to be billions of dollars in the hole over the next decade. And Representative Fiola, you know that the law says that they can raise that 103% just for inflation, and they also, if they're in a deficit, can change the laws. And they are going to be in a deficit. You're telling a half-truth, which is a half-lie. You're talking about right now, today. They know next year they're toast. And if you don't believe us, and why the Herald News isn't covering it, that's why nobody buys it. That is useless. They won't give you the news. They're a political arm of the government. Okay, you ready for this one? Get it up here on the camera. And I've made it nice and big for all of you. Okay? Read what this says. You don't think this is worthy of the people of Fall River to see this news? The Boston Herald business section. MBTA is in a full-blown crisis that won't be resolved by a federal takeover, the report says. Go read the article. There's a guy who was involved in a that said they are in a catastrophe. It is a mess. Now, next headline. WGBH News. What will it take to fix the MBTA? Decades and billions of dollars, says one expert. So, Representative Fiola, Mayor Coogan, Representative Sylvia and Smid, do you think that you are fulfilling your sworn duty to be answerable to the people when you are not, you are suppressing this news? You don't think that we deserve to know that this is a mess? They are a catastrophic failure. CJ just brought in the lyrics
song, yeah.
to lyrics for the MBTA by the MTA by the Kingston Trio. It talks about the high prices and being stuck on air forever. But do you really believe, in good conscience, as a state representative, you don't have an obligation to tell people that this MBTA is in severe trouble? And who in their right mind, when there's a million articles about Watertown, Arlington, Newton, Boston, already complaining about their way they're getting hammered in and above their regional T-bills,
Right.
that next year, when we fall off that cliff, and for the next couple of decades, when, as the article said, decades and billions of dollars are needed, you don't think they're going to change the formulas? You don't think that they're going to increase the budgets and get it from the taxpayer and the feds and the state? So we're going to be paying twice. Once with our state tax money and once with our pocket. And remember another thing, Representative Fiola, since you like to read parts of the law, also read the part about that our status changes when we become part of the MBTA authority. There is a tier there. We will go to the most expensive tier when we join the authority. What you're doing is reprehensible. That's not what you were elected to do. It's a shame you're running unopposed, because somebody should run against you, because this is just wrong. It's just wrong. You can't suppress this kind of stuff. And the people of Fall River are too busy being part of that 2/3 of the nation that are living paycheck to paycheck, going to work, coming home, and going to bed to get some rest so they can go work their second job and then doing it all over again. And they probably won't go to the polls because they don't get this information, and we're going to be saddled with that later on. Because I'll tell you what, I'll make you a bet. I'll make you, I don't know, you got a lot of money. You got a lot more money than I got. You got more money in one, you make more money in 1 week than I make in a year. But the fact is, I'll make you a bet, a nice friendly bet, $100. And we can give it to someone who's neutral to hold, that within 5 years, you know, next year it'll be the interim year, we're going to go up. Who knows what they're going to do? They're going to try to cover their tracks. Within 5 years, the city of Fall River is paying big money to the MBTA.
And you know why? Because the train coming in is a diesel. And in the next 5 years, we're supposed to go carbon neutral. Somebody's got to pay to electrify that route.
Yeah, but not only that, we're in the route now.
Right.
So they're going to destroy our neighborhood in the area.
Right.
And then they're going to raise everything up because they're already billions of dollars in the hole. And believe me, CJ, what you just said is part of what this guy said. It's going to take decades and billions of dollars, because some of this is because of low ridership, and the other parts are because of lack of maintenance, like the Orange Line, that's being now completely overdone. Done over, and the rest of the lines, and the fact that they're going to now electrify everything. But do you, I mean, I can't believe it. We got real news media covering this. And the Herald News, crickets. Where's Joe Good? Where's the great investigative reporter talking about the MBTA? We're not saying being positive or negative. We're not being negative. I know you're all going to say, you guys hate the MBTA. You're negative, you're negative, you're negative. We're not negative. We're being pragmatists.
You know how
we're
negative-
we're looking at the information.
You know how negative we're being? I've got a Charlie card.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. It's like, listen, I didn't make up these articles. I didn't make up the video of the director of the MBTA saying they're going to go off a cliff. We didn't make up the article about Watertown City Councilor, Arlington Town Administrator Adam Chapdelaine, formerly from Fall River. We didn't make up the article about the Boston City Council complaining about the cost of the MBTA. Now, those costs were created by the way the laws are structured. And the MBTA has fundamentally an absolute right to do anything it wants. So you're going to tell me an authority that is just catastrophically wounded financially is not going to use every means necessary so they can keep their paychecks and their jobs, because they got big fat paychecks and big fat retirements. And that's another article that was in there about the $1.3 billion deficit in their retirement system. So let's be perfectly frank with the people. We're not being positive or negative. What we're doing is we're transmitting the information that you and the Herald News and WSAR will not tell the people. That's what we're doing. We're giving them information. We're not saying what to do with this information. You can take this, and if you run out of toilet paper, you can use it. Or you can pay attention and maybe vote no, or you can pay attention and read all these articles and say, I don't care. I don't care how much it's going to cost. I want to watch a pretty train come into Fall River. We are not advocating yes or no on the MBTA.
You know, one of the things that people have forgotten is, number one, there is a federal investigative report on the MBTA showing that the major problem with the MBTA is upkeep and maintenance. Okay? Hence why they had to close the Orange Line at the beginning of the school year and do everything by buses. Downtown Boston was an absolute zoo, a mess. We have a train coming through with market rate housing being built right along the tracks. Those people are going to be really quiet, aren't they? They're going to have a real good time listening to the train go by. Next, and this is for all you suicide people who want to fight suicide and stop it. The train is a source of accidents, of people throwing themselves on a track and getting killed. And there isn't a lot of security around this track from Lakeville to here. It's open space. Walk right across the track. I know as a kid, I used to walk along those tracks, and you had to pay attention, because if you didn't pay attention, you'd get hit by Conrail. But it's one of the things you have to be very, very conscious about. This is going to be a boondoggle, and we're going to pay for it, and we can't afford to pay for it. Remember, you've got Durfee that you're paying for. In a couple of years, about the same time that the T comes online, you're going to have Diamond, which from what I understand is going to be $6 million a year for 30 years. An assessment on the city. It's not even done as a debt exclusion. It's done as an assessment. Because the city council didn't want to do it as a debt exclusion because they said in the past they've been able to do this. Then if all of a sudden the T decides they're going to whack us hard, how are we going to afford it? Oh, well, I'll tell you how we're going to afford it. Cut police, cut fire, lay off people. Go back to 9C cuts. Remember those 9C cuts?
Oh, I remember them vividly.
Right.
Yeah, and you're right, CJ, but let me ask you a quick question. Where did you find out about that federal report? You didn't read it in the Herald News,
No,
did
I
you?
didn't read it in the Herald News.
You didn't hear it on WSAR,
No, I did
you?
not. No, I
because
did not.
nobody wants to say anything about the actual condition of the MBTA.
That's right.
So what we're doing is buying tickets on the Titanic, and that's it. But this, look what happened to Charlie. 1959, this song came out. He was short a nickel, and they never let him get off the train. So he rode beneath the streets of Boston forever.
The man who'll never return.
Will never return.
Now, here's the funny thing. If you listen to the spoken words that start the song out, these are the times that try men's soul. In the course of our nation's history, the people of Boston have rallied bravely whenever the rights of men have been threatened. Today, a new crisis has arisen. The Metropolitan Transit Authority, now known as the MBTA, better known as the MTA, now MBTA, is attempting to levy a burdensome tax on the population in the form of a subway fare increase. Citizens, hear me out. This could happen to you.
Well, look, listen. They were taxing and spending in 1959.
Right.
This is when that song came out. What makes you think that we're not going to get hammered next year when their destruction kicks in? Because next year they're going to be, I think they said $13 billion in the hole. But then it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
No.
Over the next decades, because as you said, all these things, the diesels being replaced, the maintenance on other spurs, not just the orange line. Remember, there's a whole bunch of lines up there.
Red, green,
purple, orange,
purple.
yeah.
Purple is commuter rail.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of things that they have to do. And all those buses are diesel, by the way.
Yep.
So they have to be replaced.
Exactly.
But listen, as I said, and the article said, decades and billions of dollars. So what makes you think that we're not going to get hit with this? That's foolhardy. This is a travesty that our elected representatives, including our city council, are not all over this, giving everybody information. I'm not telling anybody how to vote on this. But damn it, give the people the information, because you know what's going to happen when we get this? 90% of the people are going to go, like they did with the charter. Oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it sucked. Well, it does. And the MBTA is in a tremendous financial condition. Why would you, and you don't believe that we're going to be assessed? That's what the law says. It says state and local. And we are now going to become part of the authority. So, Carol, if you want to read laws, you're free to come over here and we'll trade laws with you. You know, you're invited to the show. You want to read your line, then we'll put it in context. Because you can't read just the parts you like. Many years ago, I went to an arbitration, and the chief of the department had taken one line out of a law, and the judge looked at him and said, Chief, you should be well aware you cannot just take the lines you like out of a law. You have to read the entire law in the context of the law. And we won the case. But this is the problem. I mean, that is propaganda. She went on the radio and she didn't give the public information. She spewed propaganda.
Which is nothing new for We Suck at Radio.
That's right.
Okay? And, you know, it's interesting because the reason why I say We Suck at Radio is because when you have an opinion that is contrary to the ownership, they block you from the radio, they block you on Facebook, they don't want to hear your voice, they drop your phone calls. This is what happens with an arm of the propaganda, okay? This is what happens. They shut down the voices of the people. And the press is supposed to be a part of the voice of the people. But obviously, in Fall River, the press is the voice of the mayor, which is sad. But what can you do? It's just one of those things. And, you know, there was something we couldn't get to, but that was Correa's appeal, which was heard on Thursday. I listened to it. 15 minutes, that's all they got.
Yep.
Very interesting. They kept saying that the jury wasn't discerning enough. The jury wasn't discerning enough.
You can't impugn a jury? Jesus. That's the entire system is predicated on that.
They weren't discerning enough. So we'll wait for the decision to be issued in a little bit of time, and we'll see what happens.
And we know damn well if the jury wasn't discerning enough in the opinion of a federal judge, he would have set aside their verdict.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. Have a great weekend, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday.